I'm Hexen, and I'm a solutions architect here at AWS, and I'm your host. AWS GameTime is where we get to speak to the creators that make the game. Hey, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'm Hexen, and I'm a solutions architect here at AWS. And I'm your host for today's episode of AWS GameTime. AWS GameTime is where we get to speak with game developers and creators to talk about their favorite games and understand behind the scenes of how they make the games and how AWS has helped them within that journey. Today, we're joined by Dado and David here from Hole in the Sleeve Studios to talk about their game Storror Parkour Pro. So, a bit of background. Parkour is an urban sport that uses the modern environment of cities to transform the streets into a playground of freedom and movement, with groups like Storror taking this to the max. So we're going to show some of the footage. Please be aware the following footage is recorded and performed by professionals. It should not be attempted at home. But let's have an intro to Storror. Okay, I think that's the end of that video there. So that's some pretty amazing footage that's been taken. So welcome, Dado and David.
Thank you.
So you're the people and minds behind taking this urban sport and making it into something that's playable from people at home. So before we both dive into the game, just a little introduction from yourself. So fire off to Dado first.
Yeah, hello everyone. Thank you for having us. So my name is Dado. I've been in the video game industry most of my life. I started very early. Started my first game in 1982, and that was a long time ago. I was a kid, and I didn't really know what I was doing back then. But then I stuck around, and like 40 years later, I'm still here. Throughout my career, I joined very incredible projects. I was part of the Sony PlayStation era. I moved from Italy to Liverpool, where I joined a company team called Psygnosis back in the 90s. They were famous for having some very, very big hits, including Wipeout, the Formula 1 series. And it was an amazing time to be there basically at the dawn of modern console games. Then I moved around in England quite a bit from companies to companies. Mostly ended up in Electronic Arts when I did the Burnout series, Black, Need for Speed, and many others titles. And a few years ago, I decided to basically convert that like corporate world into my own passion. So I created my own companies, and this is actually our the first game that I really feel proud of. Because it comes from from me and from us, from a team of genuine people for that. And so we had the background of AAA games, but at the heart we are just moved by passion. And the team has got like all sort of backgrounds in it. So I'll let David explain how you go into the game development world, and I hope that you will appreciate the team is not like a classic game development startup. We're trying to really be as honest and transparent as possible. So this is our main motto.
Okay. So David, how has it been for you? What's your experience of the gaming industry?
Yeah, hey guys, I'm David. I like Dado. I've not been around a block like that. This is my first title, my first project like this. Yeah, I mean, background to how I got into Hits, how I started game dev. For Hits, I remember being sat at uni in my room. It must have been like late night, like 2 a.m. I was just watching random videos. You know when you kind of go in like a YouTube spiral and you're watching like top 10 car crashes or something. I must have been watching just like Storror videos because I was a fan before I watched all this stuff, and I saw a little community post that was talking about like, oh, we're making a game and like we want people to get involved and help us out. So I remember seeing it. I was like, oh, you know what, that sounds cool. At the time, I was studying university, studying computer science, and about to go into my master's. And I was like, oh, let me just shoot an email, just completely like out of the blue. I think it was like the deadline had sort of gone past already, whatever.
Yeah.
Shot an email, and didn't think any of it really. Just continued working on my uni, doing really like AI, software engineering kind of stuff. But I always had like a bit of a passion for the visual arts of like problem solving, if that makes sense. Like if you make a solution to something, it's got to look cool. Otherwise, what's the point? You know what I mean? So, and I remember a couple of weeks later, I got an email from Dado just like, hey, do you want to have a chat? And yeah, so we jumped on a call and it must have been like 4 hours. And I was fully expecting him to be like, tell me what's a pure virtual like function, like grill me about all my coding knowledge. But no, we were just chatting about the game and how cool it is and all the amazing things that could be done and the kind of technologies that we want to go forward with. And like 4 hours later, I was like, man, I need to be part of this project. And then, yeah, just fast tracked super quick. And before I knew it, I was doing my thesis on the game and then graduated. And then, yeah, a year after graduating, fully on it now, just going full force.
Sounds good. And it's good to get into doing something and with a game that you're passionate about. So we've talked a lot about the game, and we've shown the real life footage. I think it's time we showed off a little bit of what we're talking about. So here is some footage in the trailer for Storror Parkour Pro.
Running away from monkeys on rooftops in India.
Always thinking bigger, trying to be... Team Storror is a group of friends that grew up in the south of England that basically share a passion for parkour and adventure.
We happen to have a massively diverse range of skills that allows us to take on a lot of crazy projects.
Places we never would have gone without the team.
Doing parkour in skyscrapers in Asia,
diving off bridges in Basel,
running around deserts.
running away from monkeys on rooftops in India.
Always thinking bigger, trying to be more creative.
constantly looking for another adventure.
It kind of makes perfect sense for us to set our sights into the gaming world.
There's never been a project that has got us as excited as this one.
Storror Parkour Pro is the first parkour game solely about parkour and its culture.
Connecting with your mates across the world, free roaming, multiplayer options.
On the starting line, with like all of your mates to have some crazy race across town.
An open world exploration game where there'll be missions,
Training, doing new challenges.
Evading security.
time trials.
Massive roof gaps, slides through flumes, huge wall runs.
Become immersed to a level at which you actually feel like you're a part of this sport.
We want to build into the game the most ambitious animation technology,
Taking the motion capture to a whole new level.
completely fluid so that it feels exactly like you're doing parkour in real life.
People always say, I really want to be able to do this, or I would love to be able to try parkour.
There'll be a process of kind of character progression, learning the skills and abilities that you need.
Through the tutorials, sharing techniques. Our goal is to make Storror Parkour Pro the most progressive urban sports game ever.
The effect that this could have on the parkour community is similar to what the Tony Hawk's franchise did for skateboarding. And having a parkour game on major consoles is going to completely change the sport.
So that looks absolutely amazing. So let's talk about what brings us here as well. So we've been involved in this journey and speaking with you from this for a while now. So Dado, how has things looked in bringing this towards using AWS as well? What's brought you towards building this game?
Yeah, so we met Taras, your colleague, at AWS last year at the London Game Festival, and we were basically so we started the game as a fully open world multiplayer game, so it's really hard thing to do, and so we were looking for solutions to achieve the multiplayer aspect of it. And so we met with that. Like throughout all of my game development career in the big studios, we always use AWS. Apart from a few occasions, we mostly use AWS. So I was pretty comfortable with that. But we were still in the infant stages of the project. So we met Darren to say, and he was like we had to have some very, very good support from him. So we said, well, let's go with it. It's like it doesn't even it's not even worth having a look at the other option, because we just felt very welcome in that. And plus, I knew the platform, so for me, it was really a no deal. So we had a very good chat with some of your engineers as well. In particular, we had the chat with a lady called Natasha, which basically set up all of our CDCI. Well, CDCI stands for Continuous Deployment and Continuous Integration, which is basically the whole development of the game runs through this like long pipeline in order to produce a game at the end of that pipeline. So she really got us all of that all of that infrastructure and all of that knowledge to us, which was very helpful. And we also got a grant from AWS through the Activate program, which was very good for us because we're a small independent studio, so we don't have many resources. We're completely self-funded. We got a little bit of money from our Kickstarter pages, but that ran out in about a month because we bought hardware and everything. So every help like that really helped us. And that's it. Yeah.
So we talked. So you're utilizing a lot of AWS and that. So let's bring that up on the screen, Darcy. Sorry. For those asking in the comments, Taras is with us. Taras is helping moderate today. So they are with us in the comments. So when you talked with Natasha, who's another one of our solutions architects here, this is what they came up with. So
Yeah.
Looking at this, what's going on here? How is
Yes, exactly.
you know,
For,
we can say about Perforce, right?
Yeah.
So Perforce is source control. It's source control for any kind of object. Now, how is that useful for you as a game studio?
Yes. So a game requires a lot of data assets, like a lot of big files, like images, textures, Animations are huge. Like our raw mockup data is gigabytes and gigabytes of data. So we need a central repository to handle all of those information. And Perforce has been the industry standard for quite some time now. We've been using Perforce forever, really. It lets you manage big files and resolving conflicts of big files a lot easier than other solution. We're still internally using GitHub, like a Git solution, and that is like very heavy programmer wise-ish side. So the artist hates it. Like artists cannot understand Git. So moving into Perforce is a must for us because we need to handle so much data. Especially for our game, which has so at the moment we just started and we got about 48 hours of mockup footage, which is huge. It's about 48 hours at 240 frames per second. So you can imagine like the amount of storage that you need.
Must be quite a lot. So
how does which we store on the S3 and then we just liaise with the other part of the pipeline.
Yeah, use that for your centralized repository as well. So from your side, David, how does this look? How do you find using these tools as well?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's mostly handling all the assets and handling all the data. Like Dado said, it's really important for us to have a pipeline that is able to handle massive amounts of animation data, especially because, the kind of game we're it's a very movement-based game, so it's a very animation dense game, and we're probably going to have thousands of animations come the end of it. And the version we have, today, we'll talk about later, is still like, you'll see as we play and explain, it's still like, we don't have enough animations for a lot of things.
Coverage, it's always coverage.
Honestly, and I mean, Git's annoying too because, I think we use Git LFS, don't we, for large file storage, but that's a nightmare to try to actually upload big files. So we had to split up all our big chunks of animation. So when we do our motion capture, because we use an Hexen suit, so you can actually record for hours, but you have to split it up in order to actually check it in. So yeah, using something like Perforce makes our pipeline as programmers and developers and artists far easier. Source control and just accessing resources.
So no one's overwriting or deleting any of the animations that you've just worked on.
Really, like we've got a guy called Gans. He's always breaking.
Shout out to we have another guy who's Ben Meekins, who does a lot of the art stuff. So shout out to him.
So let's talk about the team as well. So your team in and of itself, you've said there's a lot of motion capture footage and you've been going out and taking a lot of this. How does your team work with that? You don't have an office, do you? You said
no, exactly.
You said previously
it's all remote,
so it must be easy to be able to get access to that as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we don't have like on the premises solution because we don't have a premise. So it's quite so because of that, we need something that works fully remote. Also, we started working with some guys that are in the US as well, and time zones and different like zones for like cloud zones is we cannot do on
different regions.
It's madness. And so basically we are forced to do things on the cloud.
So in terms of this as well, it looks so you've been using Team City as well.
Mhm.
So how important is that to your pipeline as well? Because I understand from your side that that's basically controlling your updates pipeline.
Yeah. Yes. So it works two ways, right? We have the developers branch of our infrastructure, which is like the everyday, we check in about probably 10, 20 times without all the team, which is going to increase quite a lot. So we need the fast turnaround to see if you're breaking the build. The main stuff about all these pipelines, like if you see like the orange bits, it's like they will flag you if you break the build. So basically, TeamCity it's this tool that lets you manage the builds. And so we have like the pipeline for the developers, but also we need to have the pipeline for the rest of the team. Like for example, for the Storror guys, they just need to play the game, not actually making the game. So that is why we fork, and it's important that the pipeline handles strictly like continuous integration in terms of like updating the code, the data, and the asset for us, and then the deployment that goes to the outside world.
Yeah.
And on each stage, we need to make sure, as I say, that the build is correct and it doesn't break. So it's very important to have immediate feedback of if you checked in something that it broke. I think CDCI, like for games, usually the video game industry has been a little bit lazy on that. It's been mostly like handmade solution, but I'm a big fan of that because I think it's super important to be absolute, like unit testing, integration testing. That's such a big part of the software development world, and in the video game world is like it's not so much as a big part. So
we
but
hear
for
about
me, I come from a big background. Yeah, I think we need it.
Yeah, I was just thinking there because you do hear of some creative methods for rolling out updates.
Yeah,
I think there was one came out recently with it was tied to one of the NPCs in some of the games.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So it's good to talk through that. So that was still designed with one of our solutions architects here.
Yeah.
So for those here in the audience, just want to if you'd like to have a discussion with someone at AWS or potentially join us here on AWS GameTime to present your game, then you can get in touch with us using the QR code, which will come up in a second. Darcy? Darcy.
Oh, it's that, I think.
We do have a very interesting... Oh, yeah, it's in the top right up in the corner there. You can find... I thought we were having the big one. You can find our landing page there where you can sign up to get in touch with us, whether it's to help you with anything from getting set up on the cloud with the development studio, or looking at things at multiplayer, analytics, and security for your games. If you reach out, we can help. But we do have a question from Effie Hart. So do you really see a big impact on improving your CI/CD?
Yeah, absolutely. It's as I said, it's one of those very underrated part of your work that you like. When it works well, you take it for granted, and the thing that like you are in some companies that where it doesn't work well, it's really constantly a constant struggle. What as a small team, what we try not to do is to accumulate too much technical debt, which is basically when you duct tape something just to make it work, and you said, "Oh, we're gonna fix it later." Having a very solid CDCI pipeline is just like one of those, avoiding the technical debt that 6 months down the line you need to redo pretty much everything because you just fixed on the fly, and it would never work, especially as the project grows. You cannot keep going and just doing little fixes here and there, thinking that you're gonna fix it properly later, because procrastinating is never it's gonna bite you back always. So just make sure that you are solid from day one, and that is gonna help you immensely.
Yeah. So we talked about some of the tech that you're using as well and how you're handling this. So let's talk about some of your plans. So right now what's the state of the game right now? How's everything looking?
Yeah, the state of the game is we have a demo ready to be played. Next Monday, we're going to have a very big update to our demo. We've been in development for about 2 years and we're just getting started. I know that sounds a long time. They say, why you haven't got the game finished in 2 years? But we really, because it's a project that is basically a passion project, right? We just really want to make the best thing possible. We don't have any strict deadline, even though most people will ask, oh, when is it going to come out? And we say, we don't know when it's ready. So it's going to be it has been in development for 2 years, but now we got a very solid playable demo that David will show you later. And we are really proud of that. And we were just basically like for the past year, we mainly focus on the movement. The movement for us is everything for the game. And we spend all of our money on the motion capture solution, basically, because that is just if the game hasn't got good animation, not just good animation, it just needs to have a good our animation technology is like super super advanced, and this is what we've been doing basically for the last 2 years, just animation.
Because that's where your expertise comes in, isn't it, David?
Yeah. I mean, to touch on that, one of the things that with the game itself that we talk about all the time, me and Dado, is about we really have to try and push the bounds of what parkour is in video games. So like you've seen games like Assassin's Creed, Watch Dogs, that all have really great and interesting parkour systems. But for us to do it justice, like our game doesn't have the luxury in one respect of having other gimmicks like shooting or swordplay and like monsters and all this like crazy spaceships to carry it. It's like movement is everything, and that is a real integral part of parkour, right? That's what makes it such a beautiful and interesting sport. And so for us to feel like we're doing the game and the community justice, the movement has to go beyond anything we've seen in any video game currently. And to achieve that, not only do we have to push the bounds in terms of how we capture animations, but how we utilize them and the technology and techniques that we use. We spend a lot of time researching into motion matching, which basically, to summarize, is just like we have massive loads of like motion capture data, and in each frame we assess like what do I want to do as a player, and then what does my character want to do in terms of the pose. So if I'm on my left foot, what can I do from this position? If I'm on my right foot, and then we search through the animation to be like, oh, pick this animation and this pose and play this through, and then loads of other things that go into it, but that's the general gist of it. And then we wanted to take that across the locomotion, the vaults, the jumps, into everything to try and make a super immersive and realistic experience. And like the main thing, and like we're trying to convey, which has taken so long, is that it can't just be a sequence of animations playing. It has to feel like every time an animation plays, you feel like the character is real. Like you feel like he's like, oh, there's a wall 1 meter away from me and I'm on my right foot. Let me take another step to then jump. Or I'm on my left foot. The player wants to jump now. Oh, the wall is like 0.5 meter. I can make that. I'll jump now off my left foot. And then having, such a diverse range of animations to be able to accommodate that. And, we record hundreds and hundreds just so we can, like, one of the mottos we go is like no two lines, which is the part is like a sequence of moves, should ever look the same, because you're never going to recreate. Like if you look in real life, no one ever does it the exact same way. Like you may have like a technique in the way you do it. Oh, that's one of the guys like Toby's, or that's Drew's cat passes. But the actual like subtleties of it is slightly different, because you're going to be moving slightly, like might be more fatigued, less fatigued, moving slightly faster, might be a different height wall, coming at a different angle, and all these things should affect how your player responds to it. So yeah, that's why it's been such a long process of development and research, is because we just want to do something that hasn't been done and push the boundary in that way.
Yeah. So you're making this right now in Unreal Engine, I believe.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
So Unreal Engine 5?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. 5.1 now.
Which is obviously open source. So it's good that it gives you that ability, because there's a lot of rigs in there that you can use for motion matching as well. So with that, now we've talked for a bit. So if you've just joined us here on the live stream, we have Dado and David from Hole in the Sleeve Studios, and I'm Hexen from Amazon Web Services. And today, Hole in the Sleeve are showing us their new game, Storror Parkour Pro. Players are able to join the playtest today and sign up as a backer and join the Discord. We'll put up some QR codes on the screen. If you want to purchase the game and back this project, you can find them on Storror Parkour Pro. Or if you want to just go hang out with the game developers, we also have the Discord, which is available. On that note, if you're also a game developer who wants to showcase their game with us here at AWS GameTime, you can find us at the QR code, which will be up in the corner. With that, let's showcase this game. It's time for game time. Let's bring it up, and we'll welcome in, if they're available, Darcy to come talk with us as well.
I don't mind if I do.
Hey. So Darcy is our background tech, but also comes to join us so that we can show off some of these games.
Nice. Just sorting out the big screen here. Badum. Yeah,
So you guys
I can hide behind the contact us now.
You've got it perfectly.
Awesome, fantastic. I can't see myself, so if I look,
we
stupid,
can.
I'm sorry.
We can see you. It's fine.
Yeah. So I mean,
so
general gist of the game. Yeah. So this is where we're at. That's Josh, one of the Storror guys. Obviously, we've only got one character at the moment. The aim is to have all of them, and potentially in the future as well, you to be able to create your own character. Sporting some lovely Storror gear. Yeah. I mean, general synopsis of the game, it's really is a 3D multiplayer, like sandbox open world experience to explore, create, and play with friends. I think parkour, for me at least, this last 2 years, it's kind of consumed. I say Dado as well, actually, everyone involved in the project. It's consumed our lives completely. And it's, what the most beautiful thing that I've realized is that parkour is really, it's not just about the flips and the tricks. There's such a beauty in the exploration, in the conquering of fears and obstacles. Like sometimes the smallest precisions or pre's, like just jumping to a ledge, just like can have so much weight behind them. Storror, who we did this game with, they did an event called Big Wall Open, where they it was like a jam style where people all over the community came to play to do parkour on one of the famous spots in Brighton called the Suicide Wall. And I mean, being there and experiencing and seeing the community, it kind of summarized everything we're trying to capture in the game. You know, it's a sense of community, it's a sense of exploration and taking, brutalist or minimalist architecture and what seems like nothing and opening up like worlds of exploration, and like it can be so many things to so many different people. There was someone there as well that
David, I think your screen locked a little bit. I'm just gonna do a quick refresh. We will be
no
David. I will just loop you in 5, 4, and we have David back.
There we go. We are back on your side. There we go.
Sorry.
It's all right. We didn't want to. No, we could hear you. We didn't want to interrupt.
Oh, sorry. I was doing the zone.
It was good. So this is the state of it right now. So we talked a lot about how you wanted to bring the animation quality and the flow into it. So we can see a little bit of that here as you're moving around and seeing how the character approaches different things. Though your camera has frozen again.
We're gonna just do a quick refresh. Anytime that happens, I'll sort it out.
Yeah, apologies. We do have
it's new technology, right? Streaming isn't perhaps as a mobile phone today. Let me just give a
do you know what I mean? Honestly.
So
so
we're looking here at one of the environments that you're using right now in your playtest. So what's there right now to do in this game?
Well, so recently in this new version, we've kind of brought all the previous like things we were testing out into one. You know, we have jumps, climbing, vaults, balancing, again, exploration, which is a massive part of not only like parkour, in my opinion, but also Storror's brand of parkour. Time trials. I mean, I'll go start one now actually if I just restart.
And then I want to see you break the balance challenge. I named that.
See the balance. That's a difficult one. I've already messed up. And bales. We added bales. So yeah, everything's super like contextual. So depending on how far away I put my inputs, how high the wall is, the speed of my character, my fatigue, all these kind of things are going to go into like impacting how you do anything. And so like there, he would clip his feet because I triggered it too early, and so it resulted in him bailing. So if I started a little bit further out, he'll be just fine. We'll go down here. I mean, what my score? I'm on 4 seconds. I'm probably going to lose.
Sorry, David. I think maybe you're overloading the stream with your dual cam. In essence of the game time, let's just let me add you in again. But maybe if we remove your second cam, it's not that we don't want to see you. More the contrary, we want to see your game time. So
let me delete that.
Yeah, we're doing live tech at the scene for you, our beautiful viewers.
I'm breaking the stream. Is that all good? Can you see?
Yeah, that's all good.
We'll try.
Yeah, that's all good. We can see it.
Okay, awesome. Any problems, just let me know, and then we've got some gameplay clips in the back to stick on anyway.
Yeah. So right now, you've got environment.
Sorry.
So it's a single player as well. You said you've been exploring multiplayer. So what are you kind of looking at and exploring for that? How many players are we looking at?
Yes, sorry, David, go for it.
No, go for it.
Should I go, David?
Yeah, no, go for it.
Yeah. So we're looking at the moment about session like based multiplayer. So I think to be on the safe side, between 8, I think like maximum 8 player in a session. And we are looking at using something like GameLift for our sessions.
Sorry, Dave. Just gonna the feedback unfortunately breaks. So let's meanwhile we keep talking about your game. We have the backup video. We'll just play that instead. So
yeah, for sure.
Or you can have dual play because it seems to be working when you're on a mini video. We can pretend that you do dual play. I keep playing.
No, for sure.
Yeah, cool. Sorry for that, guys. But we're saving the show for you so we can keep it
up. So multiplayer for us is gonna be session based, and one of the main features that we want to do is to do cooperative missions, because we really think that as parkour as a sport, there is such a strong sense of community in there that it needs to like translate and transmit the feeling of the parkour, the real life parkour community into the game. So it's gonna be a lot of cooperative mission, which are one of the most fun, I think, to play. We're not going to have anything like guns or weapons or like violence. It's like it's gonna be a lot more zen experience about exploring this urban environment with the capability of your own body, which is basically what the whole concept of parkour embodies.
That's exactly what I felt when playing the game, and the game just blasted me back to my childhood, running around the forest, climbing, jumping around, but also growing up when I was, maybe sliding, down the rail to get to the train, or maybe just even exploring and I'm a skateboarder since a young age, and I've been skateboarding since, forever. Same thing, same type of street sport, right? Which you can feel in the game, and I love that idea with your multiplayer. I've had some ideas, tag and have that, or maybe if you want to add some quirkiness, maybe water balloon fight or something.
I know we got lots of water challenges though. Yeah, the water challenges are the cornerstone. Yeah.
One of the coolest things about working with the Storror guys is that games often face the challenge of what game mode should we have, and we're so fortunate because it's like with this and the community, it's so interesting. It's like we just always we always just look and say, what video did Storror post last week? That could be a game mode. Because their style of parkour and their brand is just so much more complex than just jumping off a rooftop. It's like it's the exploration, it's the appreciation for the environment, it's like you said, the community, they're doing it with friends. And again, then they have such interesting ways of using their parkour to like escape challenges, like escaping from security, beating the train. Like you could just go through their YouTube channel and pick out 10 videos and make 10 game modes. And you'd have a killer game on your hands. So
I have to say, playing the game, sorry, Hex, so just playing the game, how realistic the movements are. And I can tell that, the sensors that you have in capturing the movements and then implementing that into the physics engine, we can see in the demo, of course, that this is a work being in progress. And I saw some of your other work that you're doing in terms of actually doing like the jump and the slide, not knowing the name of that trick, but that's what I would call it, the jump slide. Just an incredible progress of the world we're living in the digitization era, right? So
the cool thing as well with that will be, with the way we're trying to approach animations to make it, it's not just one animation, like we have one cat passing to do that, or we have a cat pass this height. It's like could be any and all, right? They're all filtering through different speeds, different heights. And another unique thing is like different Storror. So I mean, when people play, if they actually like that front flip being shown is Benj, I'm pretty sure, or Drew.
Drew, actually.
And they're able to get the essence of unique different styles in each character. And so, as you create your own character or play as different stories, from how you walk and run to how you jump and do cat pass and do climb ups and prees and dinos, you can actually see, it feels like Josh, or this feels like Callum, you know what I mean? And that is a uniqueness that most parkour games none at all have.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, just dropping in a little bit of commenting.
So we've got, we've had a couple of questions about what AWS services are being used. So just to catch those up. So this game here is by Hole in the Sleeve, called Storror Parkour Pro. At current, we've been working with them for a while. They're currently utilizing, we can bring up the diagram as well to show you some of the AWS services that they're using. So right now they're using primarily EC2 based software. So they're utilizing Perforce, which is used for source control. They're also looking at TeamCity for CI/CD pipelines. Now we also talked there about how if we can bring back up the gameplay footage while we talk as well. But we talked about how this game is about a community and multiplayer. So what are your visions on how to do that with ourselves as well? Because I know we've had plans and a lot of talking as well.
Yeah, I think one of the first things that we discussed with Dado is about how do we have the infrastructure to manage multiplayer sessions, and a lot of multiplayer sessions. If the game is successful, we would like, of course, to have a lot of those sessions, right? And one of the first suggestions that you guys gave us is well, just use GameLift. It's just like the perfect solution for what you want to do. So for sure, we're gonna look into that as soon as we get back to the multiplayer, but to focus on the multiplayer side of things, I think that would be our preferred trajectory for that.
Yeah, and it's working out how, because GameLift has a number of different things built in that you can plug into it. So it's working out, how you're going to do leaderboards, if there's going to be.
Yeah.
I know you had a point scoring system that you then had to remove and is being revamped as well. Yeah. You're looking at different ways to deliver that. So here's we've had a lot of comments as well saying, the movement looks great and the bales look great, but we know it's not always that case. So why don't we?
Oh no!
There is. We do have to say, as with everything, this game is still in development, so there are going to be bugs, but thankfully, some of them are great. So here we now have exclusive. It's not exclusive. They actually post this quite often. But some of the bugs that have gone on. So, David, you do a lot of stuff with the mocap and the rigs. What's going on there?
I don't even know. 90% of the time, so we have a super honest, open, and transparent development pipeline. We stream all our stuff, and if you really wanted to, you could. I think we've got about 100, 8 hours a day stream, and just we often to little to no people, just because we feel it's a community-driven game that we should always involve the community, and we're always active in the Discord, and we talk to the backers, and we do playtests regularly. The crazy thing is they will find bugs I didn't even know existed. I did not release any of this expecting to see. I was like, oh, the gameplay's great. Let's drop it like this. It's just that is confusion, because we have quite a complex find ledge, basically find the objects in your world mechanics. That one's Dado. He broke the game. Terrible.
It's always guns anyway.
Yeah, always guns. One of our guys. It's one of those ones where when you're trying to make something complex and trying to make something, push the bounds, you have to try things in different ways, and sometimes stuff gets overlooked. And I think that's the beauty of how we actually approach the development of this game. I think it can be easy for most game studios to just say nothing, be like, oh, we're making a game, and then 3 years later, here's a brand new game, it's done. It's like, oh wow, it's cool. But I mean, we don't necessarily get luxury of that because we don't have the big budget like that. But we also are privileged to be able to have access to people that are super involved and really passionate about the game, not just from a developer standpoint, from a community standpoint. And so they allow us to test the game out. And, from really right from the inception, our game is being built from the player's perspective and the player's hands. And so we know that with this way we're doing it, and it's we're always building authentic to not only the parkour community, because Storror have their brand and their vision, and they're really strong and enforce that, but also to the player base. And we can assess their behaviors, assess how they interact with systems we look at. I mean, the VR question there. So I just saw it pop up.
Yeah. We do have a couple of questions in the chat, so we'll go through them. So
no, definitely, yeah. But in general, it's just
EQ1111 has asked, is VR a possibility?
Too long didn't read. Yes. Yeah, we love VR. Yeah.
Yeah. So there is plans for a VR version of this game.
Yeah, there could be. VR, it's tricky because there is that motion sickness element to that. But I'm a big fan of VR, and the first time that you try VR, you think there is no way why any game shouldn't be in VR, right? But development is quite hard. But for sure, we are a big fan. So we're gonna look into that for sure.
I know. So it does add a little bit of you're not showing off as many of the animations.
Yeah.
We have one from Joe the Film Guy. So will the game include some free running aspects?
Yes, it will. Yeah. It will. So the game is mostly about parkour, but we know that some people just want to do tricks, right? So we need to cater for that as well. So I guess he's mentioning free running as just the tricks rather than going from A to B in the most efficient way possible. So there are definitely gonna be tricks in the game.
Yeah, and I think we've got another one as well from Axe Smashed. So when coming to this and in your discussions, have you considered looking at containerization?
Yeah.
Now, one thing for this is GameLift, I believe, is container based.
Yeah, everything is containerized. There is nothing that we do that say, "Oh, it works on my machine," and then we should be. Everything is containerized. Yeah, you cannot do any other ways. Yeah.
Yeah, because we've got EC. So your Perforce, is that on pure EC2, or have you been running it in Docker or Kubernetes?
Everything is running in Docker. Like if you have a service, is a Docker of that service. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that answers that question.
Yeah, you cannot really do anything without Docker. Like in 2023, yeah, it is a must, I think. At least for me, I don't know. And some other people may disagree, but
yeah. So yeah, we've continued that engagement with your player community. So what's next on the roadmap? We've obviously talked about how multiplayer is on the roadmap as one of the features, but what other features can people expect coming out soon?
David, you want to take it?
No, I mean, we took a really long time to build a really solid foundation of both movements and like the base fundamental moves. But also create pipelines that allow us to do it. Like our animation pipeline now, to go from raw mocap to actually like in-game animation with like Josh doing the moves with all the curves and data that we need to be able to select which one's best is the click of a button now. And that took months to do. But now that's there, the next month or two is really, I mean, plans to add descents, plans to add like laches, strides, plyos, precisions, all these stuff can really start to now to be added. I mean, I feel like the game is finally at its most basic form, but right, like at the fundamentals, at the core, now we have the foundation, and now we can actually start adding all these parkour elements, all these free running elements, all these like multiplayer, all these gameplay elements. Like we just added scoring to this, time trials, different game modes, and then incorporating that into multiplayer aspects. The next 2-3 months for us are the most exciting, personally. Because I really finally see it as a game and not just us experimenting with stuff. So yeah, we're finally in a position to be able to do all the cool stuff that we've dreamed about. So yeah, it's looking bright.
Oh, that's fantastic to hear. So Dado, you and David, for both of you, I guess, what would be, how have you found reaching out, and what top tips would you give for anyone that's looking to start, both a game development and cloud journey? Because it's a bit of,
I think, for the game development, for the game development side, sorry, I was just like, I've been coding too much. For the game development side, it's a bit cliche, but follow your passion and be prepared to put the hours in to really understand if that is something that you would want to do. Because it's not like, the great thing about game development is that is such a unique and a niche industry that it's almost a privilege to be able to say, oh, I'm working making a game. It's almost like saying I'm very lucky because I work doing what I love. I don't know that there are lots of cliches, but it's boiled down to the fact that you need to have a strong passion for that. Passion is everything with that, but be able to put the hours in. And for the cloud aspect of that, that is as of the 2023 or like the last few years, is inevitable that you are gonna get you're gonna get used to the clouds. So the cloud is something like that you don't even like. It would be so streamlined that you don't even notice that you are using it. It would be just doing things normally. I think it would be pretty much on the cloud. So the cloud is just a normal and natural continuation of your game development journey. If you're if you're doing different type of games, like small multiplayer game, maybe that's not for you. But we are in a podcast about talking about multiplayers and online games.
Yeah.
So I think you are interested into that. So it's gonna become very natural for you.
Yeah. Thank you. And David, what would be your advice? Reply, send that email.
Yeah, and I mean, for me as well, it's like I second everything Dado said about passion, but I think as from like a developer, for anyone looking to become a developer or get into the space, you really got to like listen to the players, people that have been in it for longer, like Dado, who know what they're talking about, to the community, to the people that you're working with, like Storror, and like, you know, you all of this will help not only guide what you make and what you create and what you design, but just guide your progress throughout. And don't be driven by the potential financial aspects of it, because it's not, how do I put it? It's not, game development can often be not as rewarding in terms of gratification, because, you know, you can make something and be great, and then someone will break it in 30 seconds, and it's like, or it can take 8 months to make a release that people break in 20 seconds, or no one sees the 2 hours you put in to make something on the screen, or the way the character handles this wall will do something. But you have to really make sure that you're not doing it for those reasons, and surround yourself and listen to the people that are doing it for the same reasons as you, and it's because you love to do it and you love to create and you're passionate about what you're making. Listen to others, and always don't take anything to heart. If Dado says this sucks, he's doing it because he cares about the product, and we all do as well. So yeah, that's my advice.
That's great, Heel. So on that, keeping in mind, if you're passionate about game development, you're looking to get started on this journey and use some of these tools, or come join us on the show and speak to some of us here at AWS, you can reach out to us using the QR code up in the corner to join us on our AWS landing zone. And until the next time, from myself, Hexen, from the team here, David and Dado, thank you for joining us. Darcy, who's been on our tech, and thank you, Taris and Camille, for helping in the chat today. With that, we've been AWS GameTime. Keep building and keep gaming.
Peace out.
Peace, guys.
Whether you're a team of one or 1,000, only one thing really matters: making a game that players want to play. Developers are imagining future games that delight players and require solutions to support their dreams. Players expect games to have fast response times and high-fidelity experiences on any device, anywhere in the world. To achieve this, more and more developers are turning to the cloud. AWS for Games provides a broad portfolio of industry-specific products and solutions from AWS and AWS partners to help you build faster, run smarter, and grow your games. AWS for Games portfolio covers 12 solution areas, spanning the 3 phases of game development. When building, AWS will help you to modernize your architecture and move your production pipelines to the cloud, enabling you to recruit and build diverse teams around the globe, not limited to a physical location. When running a game, AWS can help you streamline operations, deploy the right compute and accelerated networking options to deliver low-latency game experiences, provide real-time and serverless analytics to help better understand player behavior, and help you harden your back-end against DDoS and other malicious attacks. To grow your player base, AWS can help you acquire and retain users with an engaging community experience with Twitch, Amazon Luna, and machine learning tools. With 175 fully featured services and more functionality than any other cloud provider, AWS infrastructure is trusted by over 90% of the largest public game companies, including Epic, EA, Ubisoft, Sony, Nintendo, Zynga, Rovio, and more. Need help getting started? Visit the AWS for Games landing page for a customized onboarding experience. Take one of our structured learning classes or dive deep into the 12 solution areas. Either way, we want to help you create the next amazing game. Welcome to AWS for Games.